to a new episode of There Will Be Exorcisms. I am Geoff.
I am Ron.
This is episode 91. We're going to be getting to all of the current movie, TV, and gaming news, but first, we did want to pay our respects to Mr. Bill Paxton. We talked to when John Hurt passed away about how he was kind of clearly on the geekdom Mount Rushmore after his career. I think you can make a case for Bill Paxton as well.
Oh, yes, very easily.
We could sit here all night naming off, it's almost hard to find a movie Bill Paxton was in that isn't notable for some reason, you know?
He was in 3 major franchises that are still going on after 30 years.
Yeah, one of 2 actors to be killed by a Predator, a Terminator, and a Xenomorph on screen, along with Lance Henriksen. I mean, it's just crazy.
Has one of my absolute favorite TV villain deaths on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes, it was it's fucking fantastic. And not only in front of the camera, the guy was an incredibly talented director too. Like, I believe his show Big Love, I believe he was a director in spots for that, if not, a continuous one. Frailty, he was a director of. Yeah, it's just one of those things where, God, it's a shame that he passed away so young because he had a lot left in him.
Do we know what his surgery was for? He passed away due to complications of surgery.
I have not. If it has been reported, I have not heard what the surgery was for.
I haven't either.
They might have been keeping
61,
him to wraps.
I believe.
They might have been keeping him to wraps just for the sake of his family, just try to leave him alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, his career speaks for itself. Like, I saw one cool stat on Twitter where people were talking about from like 1996 to 2000, the amount of kids who enrolled in meteorology quadrupled because of Twister. It's like cool little factoids like that.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where it sucks when you read the news that someone passed. You never even met them, but your heart still sinks, he will be
living in Oklahoma, man. Twister was a big deal.
It was a big movie. It's one of the first movies I remember going to at the theater and seeing as a little kid. It's a goddamn shame. He will be missed. By all accounts, he was a fantastic guy, like a lot like Clark Gregg.
Never heard anything bad.
Tons of actors have reached out saying, he was the nicest guy I've ever worked with on set and stuff like that. Clark Gregg on, from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. released a pic where he was on set with, Bill Paxton. They had taken like a selfie. It's a goddamn shame.
And the guy was incredibly talented too. You go from roles like Aliens to his role in S.H.I.E.L.D. to his role in Big Love and Twister. Like, he was insanely talented. And then, like you said, he was a talented director.
Yeah, he had a lot of range in front of and behind the camera. We really did lose a legend to me. And yeah, celebrate his life by going out and watching Aliens or watching Frailty, watching Big Love. Celebrate his life by remembering and, one of his great performances either in front of or behind the camera. That's I think the best thing we can say about it. While we're talking about Bill Paxton, how about we talk about an Alien movie that I think would make him proud?
Oh my God, dude. I want this movie and I fucking want it now.
So, interesting enough, when I was setting up our podcast through Collider, which I should say again, all of our news for the most part, unless I say otherwise, is courtesy of Collider just to source our material.
Courtesy is a nice way of saying plagiarized.
You completely made me lose my train of thought. Oh, okay.
Friend of the show, Collider.
When I told, unbeknownst to Collider, friend of the show, when I told you I was organizing the podcast notes, and I was like, man, like that new Alien Covenant trailer must be really good because like all of the news on Collider is like 80% Alien, and it's twofold. Part of it is the trailer that we're going to talk about is legitimately fucking amazing, but also there wasn't shit for news this week, and I'm just warning you, we don't have hardly anything to talk about. So we're going to spend most of this news podcast talking about Alien Covenant.
Fuck yes.
Let's talk first about the poster, Ron. We got...
Whoever is fucking doing their posters...
ain't getting paid enough?
Should be doing all posters.
The first one was Run, right? It was just like the face of the xenomorph in the shadows.
Yeah, it was like it's like it's slowly coming out of the shadows or something. It's partially obscured.
It's one of those where it's like as soon as you see it, you're like, I want that on my wall. It was
Yes,
great.
it was, and it was just a single word, Run. This one is the facehugger egg, and it's partially obscured in the shadows as that eerie green light over it, like the first poster had. And one word again just says hide.
Now here's my idea that I'm really hoping I'm right because I think it'd be a great poster. Is the last one is just either just a close up of someone. You don't see the person, but you just see someone holding one of their pulse blaster weapons, one of the pulse rifles or whatever they're called, and it just like a bloody or like damaged one of their rifles from aliens, and it just says survive above it. I think would be a cool touch for the last one. No matter what they do, it'll be amazing because these first two have been fantastic.
It's been amazing. Two of my favorite movie posters ever, I think.
I would especially the first one,
especially the first one.
Like,
the fact that they opened up with the xenomorph and not the egg.
Oh my god! Like I want that poster right now, so bad.
Oh, I know, it's so good.
So after that, they just went ahead and dropped a little trailer that kind of broke the internet momentarily.
Dude, this trailer. Oh my god. I was doing everything I could to keep from watching it. I did not want to watch it. I was afraid of spoilers.
Same.
And everything on Twitter was about it. Everything on the news sites that we follow was about it. Everything was just this movie. And I was like, oh, god damn it. And I actually solo recorded myself playing Dark Souls. And I say several times in that video, god damn, I just want to watch that trailer.
I was under the same belief, and I was like, man, I want to watch it so bad, but I just don't trust Hollywood. But then today, I was just like, I can't help it. It was getting so much reaction. I was just like,
when you text me and said you were gonna do it, I was like, oh, thank God. Let me know. Let me know if I should watch it or not.
And then I watched it.
And I got the next text I got from you was in all caps after you
watch it right now, because nothing was really spoiled. The only thing that is spoilerish at all is the image that everyone had already seen, which is of the xenomorph, which we'll talk about. But the intensity of the trailer is just like the first Alien movie, which is your and I's favorite. I cannot be more excited for this movie right now.
It's one of my most anticipated movies this year.
Which, by the way, again, how ridiculous is the TV and movie slate for this year?
It's pretty insane.
Dude, fucking just March alone, just this month, has more shit than most summers do for geek entertainment. Like, Into the Badlands, Samurai Jack, Iron Fist, Logan. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, this year is just insane. But yeah, the intensity, like, it's one of those trailers too where it's like I really appreciate it. Like the first half of the trailer is just them landing on the planet, and it's very very atmospheric. They're walking around. They're like, why is there wheat, so far away from Earth? And then the real thing that kind of makes you stop is like when they realize there are no bird sounds, there is no life.
The one of the things I noticed too is like the movie titles that we went through, because this movie has like 20 of them, and the one we landed on all makes so much more sense now, because it was originally Paradise Lost, I believe.
Which, did you catch the Paradise title card?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
and it makes sense that they're colonists. They're not mining or
they're all
like the
couples.
Nostromo. They're not the mining rig. They're colonists. So Paradise Lost makes sense. Covenant makes sense to me now, because I always thought that was strange. But is that the name of their ship? I guess they all have it on their shirts.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
No, I guess they're not shirts, but they're
jumpsuits.
Coveralls. Yeah. It all says Covenant on it. So yeah, this trailer told us a lot without telling us anything, really. Like you said, probably the only spoiler in it is the monster effect itself. And even then, that's only at the very end. You catch it in glimpses that are so fast, they don't even bother to hide it because it's so fast. You don't really catch it.
Yeah, it is like I mean you and I are on record to have the first one, the more horror driven alien movie is our favorite one, and this looks exactly like it looks like 75% alien with like a splash of 25% aliens. Like there is gonna be more action, but I feel like Ridley Scott really went all out bringing it back to its roots.
Yeah, it's probably a good, like you said, 3/4 of the movie is about the first one, and then the third act is just going to be balls to the wall.
Like when they reveal, like not only do they reveal the xenomorph, but in that crazy ass action sequence of the plane crashing, like using that to reveal the xenomorph is just like, do not want, do not want.
Yeah.
And let's talk about his fucking design too. Like, so this is 10 years. I believe they've said the movie is set 10 years after Prometheus.
Okay.
So the xenomorphs are still evolving. They are not all the way we think of them typically, at least in the first couple of Alien movies. But like, it's like the creepy thing to me is like it still kind of has eye slots, but they're hollowed out, and it adds like a real kind of creepiness to it to me.
The more I look at this picture, because I only ever saw it on my phone until we were doing the podcast. The more I look at this picture, the more I'm pretty sure that's just the reflection of the skiff they're on. Because the top of the engines on the skiff stick up in the air.
I still think it has.
You think it has some ice?
I think that's showing how it's still evolving from people. Is that it's still gonna have more human features, because that was the thing in Prometheus, right? Like they just had one that was a hybrid of a person and the alien that they had on the planet.
Yeah, and so I think its jawline and everything is very human. Its teeth are very human.
The arms, the musculature on the arms is much more human. I think they are hollowed out. I think it's like 3/4 the way becoming a xenomorph, which I think is a cool design. I think it's cool that they made like kind of a hybrid between the original design and kind of the Prometheus angle they were going with.
Yeah, because the biggest power that creature has is it evolves every time it encounters a new species, basically. So yeah, dude, I get the feeling that we have a combination of CGI and practical effects from what we've seen from the two trailers.
If it wasn't practical, they did a damn good job because it looks tactile. It really does.
There is a lot that happens in this trailer that shows a lot of the CGI. The Red Band trailer that they released first looked to me like mostly practical effects, like in the shower and stuff.
Yeah.
But dude,
it's one of the best trailers of the last few years.
Not only that, it's like just the effects, just the creature effects alone. Probably the last few years is the best that I've seen in a long time.
I want this movie so bad. What is it, like May 19th, I think?
Yeah, May 19th.
I want it now. I fucking want it. And I want it now.
It's so close, yet so far.
Yet so far away. Was there anything else you wanted to add about the alien stuff, Ron?
You and me, Thursday
at 7 p.m., whatever the earliest showtime is. I do like how Hollywood is just kind of like, yeah, we're not going to do the whole midnight thing because we make more money at 7 p.m. It's like literally 5. It's not even a midnight anymore. I think they still have some midnights, but most of them are like 7 p.m. now or 8 p.m.
Yeah, they do like 7 and then like 10 and midnight, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, why do 1 when you can do 3?
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, this next story is so fucking batshit to me. I don't know what to make of this movie, but they have a whole lot going for it, but at the same time, it's so fucking out there. Okay.
I couldn't tell if it was movie or series.
It's a movie. It is one of Netflix's first fully budgeted. Like this movie, they ended up, I think, paying $90 million to secure the rights to.
I did not notice that this had a trailer.
You didn't watch the trailer for it?
I didn't watch this trailer.
Okay.
I've only read about it.
So okay, but I've given you with the description kind of like the gist. I believe this is a description that is actually on the YouTube video. Okay, this movie's title is Bright, as we already stated. It's a Netflix original. David Ayer is the director of it, and he is teaming up with Will Smith again, who is the lead. Think of that statement for a second. You have a David Ayer directed and Will Smith led Netflix original movie. That tells you everything you need to know about how Netflix stands right now.
Oh yeah,
That is crazy.
that's
What Will Smith
good.
is so picky about his projects. All his projects are either summer blockbuster or Oscar bait. That is all he pretty much does. And this is a weird mix of stuff that I don't even really know what to make of. Okay, this is a description on YouTube.
So strange.
Set in and also Max Landis is one of the writers. Interesting enough.
It makes a little bit more sense now.
It actually does. Set in an alternate present day where humans, orcs, elves, and fairies have been coexisting since the beginning of time. Bright is genre-bending action that follows two cops from very different backgrounds. One is Ward, who's Will Smith, and Jacoby, who's Joel Edgerton. Do you know who Joel Edgerton is?
I know the name. I recognize the name.
Did you see Warrior? He's not Tom Hardy. He's the other brother.
Okay.
He's awesome too. Joel Edgerton is.
You
also
know Tom Hardy? The other guy.
The other guy. The other guy who's not Bane. He had to wrestle Bane.
Oh,
No,
man.
but Joel Edgerton's awesome too. He's kind of like Bill Paxton. He does a lot of his own directing for movies that he stars in too. They embark on a routine patrol night and encounter a darkness that will ultimately alter the future and their world as they know it. Bright is available only on Netflix and comes out this December. That is a whole lot of words. It is almost like we did fucking, dartboard throwing genres and shit, and it's all just a big smorgasbord.
It's just kind of like set in the Tolkien universe modern day, right? That's what it sounds like.
It's one of those things where this script has to be amazing, because when you read this to me, like this description, this is not something that I like. If you would have told me, give me 200 guesses on who the lead actor is for this project, Will Smith would have been one of the 200. It is so weird to me.
Yeah, I don't even know what to make of that just from the description, man.
It's one of those things. It's almost like it's so weird I have to watch it. I just have to know.
I don't even really have any words.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. What's that game where you like throw in random words to fill up the gaps? You know what I'm talking about? The word game.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on what it's called, but it's like this is like the Netflix movie equivalent of just throw words in the blanks. Yeah, I don't even know.
Cards Against Humanity?
No, it's an older game than that. I'm fucking blanking on it, but people probably know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I'm gonna watch it. I don't know what to fucking say. David Ayer directing it helps. I love David Ayer.
Yeah, I love David Ayer. Will Smith lately, for me, has just been falling flat, kinda.
I liked him in Suicide Squad. I thought Suicide Squad was the
I
best
liked him
one
in
he'd done in a
Suicide
while.
Squad. I liked him better than I thought I would.
I would agree.
But yeah, it
It's
just
fucking
sounds.
weird.
This just sounds to me like whoever wrote it. They said Max Landis.
He's one of
It's
the
just-
co-writers.
It just sounds to me like the writers just opened up their toy box and started slamming their toys together.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because that's what Pacific Rim is, and I kind of love Pacific Rim. We will see in December. At the very least, it's a huge get for Netflix. For them to be able to pimp out an original movie, even if it's dog shit, people will watch it because Will Smith's in it. They're going to get killer ratings for it.
Yeah, no, it's going to get a lot of hits.
Let's see. That is all for the movie news. We have one bit. That shows you how slow this week was. I have one bit of TV news. That is very, very odd. Marvel has cast the lead character in Inhumans, Black Bolt. This was the one character I was telling you about last week that I actually know about a little bit. I have at least heard of him. The actor is Anson Mount. He was the main character in Hell on Wheels, which I've never seen, but I've heard from all accounts it's a fantastic show.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
That's the one about the introduction of the railroad on AMC. If you remember, which is the thing. You and I were kind of naysayers for this Inhumans TV show for a while, but this shows you when they were going after with getting Ramsay from Game of Thrones for Maximus, like was going to end up being the main villain more than likely. Getting an actor who was a figurehead on AMC. AMC and HBO do not get bad actors. They the smallest character will still have a perfectly chosen, well-respected actor in the role. Yeah, they're not holding back. This is apparently incredibly important to them based off the two actor choices. At least that's how I read into it.
Yeah, no, they're definitely pushing this one pretty hard. I was a naysayer for a while until, was it just last week, we found out that it's not going to affect S.H.I.E.L.D., like they're not going to pull characters away or anything. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot then when I heard that. But
my whole thing was I was in the same boat until they announced that Iwan Drayon was added to it. So
yeah.
I will watch.
Their casting department's at it again.
We got some tidbits about it. Most of these were from people at Marvel. Just as a quick, general description, Mount will play Black Bolt, the enigmatic, commanding king of the Inhumans, with a voice so powerful that the slightest whisper can destroy a city. So I'm thinking about kind of like Banshee.
Yeah.
This is
to the nth degree.
This is Geoff Loeb, the head for Marvel Television for not only like the Netflix stuff, but also Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Inhumans and everything, basically the whole department. Anson loves the challenge of playing a character who will only communicate silently. His enthusiasm mixed with his imposing, almost regal persona made it easy to see why he is our Black Bolt. The showrunner for this show is Scott Buck, who is also showrunning Iron Fists. He went on to say, Black Bolt is a character whose deep complexity must be conveyed without uttering a single word, and I'm very excited to have Anson on board to bring him to life. Yeah, I think part of the reason they're spearheading this so much with these actor choices too is because of that whole IMAX thing. I think they want that partnership to flourish, so they're going to make sure this is at least a presentable project. Like this is not going to be like the first few episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. all over again. We are fortunate. If Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had been on Fox and not ABC, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would have lasted 3 episodes and never been seen or heard from again.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm going to try it. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be probably the closest to a live-action X-Men show that Marvel ran will ever get.
Comes out September.
And then you and I are always suckers for actors that can say everything without saying anything, and the guy's obligated to. So, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting for sure. I still don't know how I feel about the Inhumans, because my only experience with the Inhumans is just Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So
what helps too is these scripts have to be good, because someone, especially Ramsay from Game of Thrones, the Game of Thrones actors can almost pick whatever project they want right now because they are all so popular.
I was going to say, this isn't Iron Man or Captain America. This is more along the lines of Guardians of the Galaxy, where even comic book people, a lot of them don't even fucking know what Inhumans is.
I've never read an Inhumans comic. That's how deep cut they are right now.
Yeah, Inhumans is a very niche thing. So it's for it to be, a niche thing like it is, and for them to be getting the actors that they are, and to get it paired up with IMAX, like you said. I mean, it's got to be good.
What's also
confused.
What's also interesting too, since you bring up the comics, Marvel basically has changed to the point, and I don't blame them. I would too. The comics act as more like advertising for the movies now instead of the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
They have been really pushing the Inhumans as far as a comic series recently over the last couple of years because they don't have the rights to X-Men.
Right.
They are aware. They have really been pushing Inhumans hard, kind of like shoving it down comic readers' throats almost to the point to where, like, I don't know if you're aware of this. Marvel has gotten so hardcore about the movie rights situation. There is not a Fantastic Four comic ongoing right now because they don't own the rights. They are starting to kind of clamp down on X-Men a little bit because they don't own the rights.
They realize that they're advertising for their competitors.
They're advertising for their competition. So yeah, I mean, we would live in a different world if Fox wasn't run by assholes and actually would partner up with them. Because, like, what's fucking crazy to me, Sony right now is already counting $100 bills based off the fucking truckloads of money they're going to make off Spider-Man, which they didn't lift a fucking finger or do anything. And Fox is like, fuck you, we're going to hold on to Fantastic Four after that last fucking Fanforstic movie. You guys are so stupid, and it's like you don't even realize how much of a fucking cosmic joke of a company you are for the most part.
And it sounds like they may be trying to Warner Brothers Deadpool a little bit.
There has been some disturbing news out of Deadpool 2.
There's been a lot of disturbing news out of Deadpool 2 that I did not like.
The reason, by the way, I have not included the Deadpool 2 news in our notes for the last couple of weeks is because most of it's horseshit. Because it's just rumor, which is not good.
Yeah, it's not good, especially after how, the general public was clued into everything on the first movie pretty much. Like, it was just always, everything about that movie was always public. And, you've got people coming and going from it. You've got the rumor mill churning out.
You've got people saying writers are involved that aren't actually involved because the original guys are still involved, courtesy of Ryan Reynolds on Twitter correcting people. Like, it is a fucking shit show right now. And honestly, it's a shame, but Hugh Jackman leaving might also fuck up Deadpool in the process because, like you said, they're going to be too hands-on for their baby, which is Deadpool. At the very minimum, at least we got the one great Deadpool movie, and at least we got R-rated stuff on the docket now for the next 10 years or so, at least.
Yeah.
But I feel really, really nervous about Deadpool 2. I feel you on that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty nervous about it. I was going somewhere with all that originally. It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
You should apply for an executive role at Fox. You will fit right in. What's that cool sci-fi show by Whedon? Fuck it, it's gone.
Pretty much.
Can you give me a quick time check?
28.
28. Okay, I'm gonna run through these really quickly, and then we're gonna start our discussion. We have 2 bits of gaming news. That's how fucking slow this week was. We were actually including gaming news, Ron. Did you watch the trailer that I linked to you for the new Lord of the Rings game?
Yes.
Tell me, that's a pretty badass looking trailer, isn't it? You got like the Balrog and shit.
It like graphically it looks cool, but I mean it did nothing for me. I don't really have any interest in it.
You need to actually give Shadow of Mordor a shot.
Really? Because I was never that interested in it either.
Because it is basically Assassin's Creed with Lord of the Rings stuff, and it's actually a really, really great game. It has one of the coolest features to come out of any video game in the last like 10 years. Have you heard of the Nemesis system from Shadow of Mordor? That is the whole thing to where if you get killed by an orc, they actually rank up amongst like their peers and everything. And it's this really ingenious thing where it's like you actually get invested because if you happen to die to one dude and you make this guy a chief, when you end up running into him later on, you're like, oh, I'm going to kill you, motherfucker. I'm going to fucking get you this time. It's a really, really cool little simple system that makes like the whole game. I still own it, actually. I would be curious for you to at least give it like an hour's check out. Like, I think you might end up actually liking it.
Okay.
But and Troy Baker, because video game is the lead. So that helps.
Right, of course he is.
They finally announced the sequel. The last game I think came out in like 2014. It's been a while.
It's been a while. I know that much. Yeah.
The new one was, I believe, accidentally leaked by someone because video game industry Someone probably put on a fucking...
Don't tell me it was LinkedIn.
It was probably LinkedIn because the video game industry.
Dear God.
But they officially announced it with the Shadow of War trailer. Even if you don't want to play the game, just like Ron said, some of the imagery, like the Balrog and everything, look fucking cool in this trailer. It's worth watching, even if you don't want to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, graphically, I don't know how much of it is cinematic and gameplay, but it looked gorgeous, I guess you could say.
I am pretty stoked for it. Let's see. We have one little bit of news to get through, too. I found pretty interesting. I think we reported on the changes to PS Now, in that they were moving it from Vita and PS3. Did we put that on the show?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I was thinking we did.
Yeah, so because we wanted to point it out because they did it like on the anniversary of the North American release of the Vita.
Yes. So I don't know if this was a happy accident or specifically planned, where they kind of got the shit going, like, to kind of capitalize on the bad feedback of Sony, but Microsoft actually, like, I give them shit all the time. This was a smart move. They have introduced what is called Xbox Game Pass.
I would sign up.
It is basically a Netflix-style service, but they have found a way around the bandwidth problem of PS Now. Like, when you're watching a show on Netflix, if it ends up buffering or there's a little bit of a fuck up, you can kind of get, you can kind of, deal with it because it's a show. You cannot have input delays with a video game.
Yeah.
If we were not in an age to where everyone has Google Fiber, PS Now should not be a thing right now. To me, that was kind of a dumb idea in the first place if they didn't have the technology behind it. I'm sorry. I do not have an Xbox One. I have a PS3 and a PS4 and a Sony Blu-ray player. But I will call them out if I think their shit's dumb, and that was dumb.
It's dumb.
Also, it was only previous gen or before games. It was all on Sony's and on PS Now. It was all PS3 games. They had some classics for 1 and 2. But for $9.99 a month over at Xbox, you can get instant access to well, it's not instant. They're rolling it out slowly, but when it's a full-featured service, you'll be able to get access to over 100 current and backwards compatible games that do not stream. You download them fully to where you play the fucking game as if you had the disc in your system or you had downloaded off of, like, the Xbox store.
And, PlayStation Plus has that with the ones that they give away free every month. As soon as you cancel your subscription, you can't use the game anymore. Why not? I would fucking sign $9.99. I would fucking sign up for this.
Here's the cool thing too. If you are a member of Xbox Game Pass, and let's say one of the games in the first batch is Lego Batman or Halo 5 Guardians, any of these games in the library, once you play it, you can fully purchase it then if it's in the library at a 20% discount.
Really?
Yeah. And what's cool too...
Is that the way of competing with Amazon?
Kinda. What's kind of cool too is, like, let's say you played Lego Batman this month on Xbox Game Pass. You didn't have $10 the next month to spare, so you left the service. If you went a few months later and then resubscribed, they carry over all of your save game data. If you were to buy the game later, your Xbox Game Pass save data would then transfer to the purchased game.
So you don't lose it.
You don't lose your save data. They have some fantastic features with this.
They learned their lesson from getting their ass handed to them, I guess.
Yes. This was a big deal, and it could not have come at a better fucking time for them, because they are, by reports, they might not be exactly down like 1 to 2 on the sales, from the PS4, but it's close.
Yeah.
So this was a very, very smart move for them. It is appealing to me. If I had an Xbox One, I would definitely get that service.
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
And they didn't just have bullshit. They had Halo 5, they had Payday, they had some Lego Batman, Soul Calibur 2, or one of the Soul Calibur, I forget which Soul Calibur was, but they had some titles. Like, it was a decent, like, especially for an initial library. It was impressive.
Yeah, no, that blew me away when I read about that.
It was kind of nuts. So we are, as a channel, if we're going to kick people in the nuts when they do stupid shit, we have to applaud them when they do something good. Unfortunately, it's Microsoft. They will probably fuck it all up. So we will wait. We will wait and see come E3. But that is a wrap for our news. So we are going to be getting into our discussion of the week. And we decided this week, in the wake of the Academy Awards, Ron and I will discuss our personal methods for how we either just straight up review stuff or how we rank stuff when we do our top 5 list. If you're curious, as an addendum to this, we every year do our top 5s. I say every year, as we've been doing this for like 12 years. We have done this for 2 years where we do our top 5s. If you check out the channel, you can actually find our top 5 TV shows and movies for last year, if you're curious about that. But Ron, when you are sitting down, let's start out with just how you review. Let's not get into rankings until a little bit later. When you sit down to review like a movie, what are some of the first things that jump out into your mind when you are reviewing it?
Actually, whether I'm ranking or reviewing it, the first thing is the same for me, and that was just how much did I actually enjoy watching whatever it was, regardless of any flaws, regardless of anything going on with the actual product. How much fun did I actually have sitting down and watching it or playing it or whatever it is?
Yeah, what I think is going to be an interesting discussion point for this too is like between you and me, you are way more scientific. Like, you know, you go out and watch stuff like Mythbusters, you watch Discovery Channel, you watch a lot more stuff like that. But when it comes to like fiction, I actually approach a lot of these things more scientifically, being someone who wants to write professionally. So there are actually instances to where, for the most part, I do review stuff that way. Like, I just went and watched John Wick 2. I went back and watched John Wick 2. I went back again and watched John Wick 2 because I keep having buddies who haven't watched it yet. I'm like, dude, I'll fucking go. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'll go watch. I'll go watch Keanu shoot people all day long. So there's like the, oh my god, this is awesome. I am like enjoying this like a little kid on Christmas type of thing.
Right.
Pacific Rim. I cannot wait to watch Pacific Rim again after I had seen it or stuff like that. But there are sometimes too, like, I will find specific things that I like so much about a movie that overall I didn't really care for. Well, I will actually kind of forgive the movie if there are certain aspects like performances, or if there is like, if like a movie I think was directed poorly but had a strong script, I will admire the writer for it and, you know, give aspects of the movie a little bit of a pass. So I actually kind of I think I approach reviewing stuff a little bit more scientifically, if that makes sense.
You do, which makes sense being an aspiring writer, whereas I don't know jack shit about the world of writing and I have zero creativity. The way my mindset usually is more tunnel vision. I can pretty much only see the completed product, you know, and I can look at it and be like, oh man, like the director or that actor or whatever got the short end of the stick because these people fucked it up. Like I can usually see that, but usually I'm like a whole picture kind of guy when I look at it.
Do you have any thoughts? This was actually, I didn't write it down for this, but I had originally kind of had it as like a mental note. How much do you factor in rewatches? Like, is it crucial for you when you're reviewing a movie that if you've seen it multiple times, like, will you negatively impact a score of a movie or like a ranking if you feel like after repeat viewings it doesn't hold up as well? Because I think you made a point of this. I remember about Deadpool on our top 5 list. You said the more you watched it, the more you ended up not liking it. So like maybe elaborate a little bit more on that. I'm curious.
Yeah, you know, I can go the other way on some stuff too, but yeah, rewatchativity. It
sounds like an MTV segment,
right? It'd be a good side podcast actually.
Write that shit down. Howard Stark that shit.
No, I don't know. I don't necessarily. It's more the desire to watch it again, not the actual watching again, because, like you pointed out, I would have no way of knowing at the time that Deadpool would lose points once I watch it too many times.
What was it about Deadpool specifically that every time you rewatched it, you ended up disliking it more each time?
Deadpool's a weird one for me, actually. I can't quite put my finger on what it is with Deadpool. I don't.
I actually don't. I didn't. I think I only watched it twice. I think I watched it with you, and then I think I watched it with some of my high school buddies. So I watched it more than one time while it was at the theater, and I never like lost enjoyment for it. So that's why I was curious about Deadpool specifically.
I've seen it several times at this point, and I don't know. It's just I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. It's a weird one for me. It's the type of movie that it is usually one that I enjoy more each time I watch it. That's what kind of confuses me about it. Um, like Guardians of the Galaxy, for instance. I can watch that movie endlessly, and I enjoy it the same or more as the first time that I watched it.
I think what's interesting is I think I actually like Deadpool more than Guardians. I think Deadpool has a stronger script. Like Deadpool
it definitely has a stronger script. I'll give it
because of the script. Like I end up like what was interesting too is like I think it's actually interesting that I bring up Guardians. The first time I watched Guardians, I was not very impressed with it.
Really?
Like I think we ended up talking about this a long time ago. Like what it came out 2014, I think. I think we talked about this. I think we actually talked about this a long time ago, even before we had a podcast. But like the first time I watched it, it was so far out there that I needed like rewatches to fully appreciate what I ended up really liking about it. And I love the movie now, but it was one of those things where it was like rewatching Deadpool for you kept knocking it down a peg. Every time I rewatched Guardians and found like I don't like the villain. There basically is no villain because he has no backstory or motivations, but the things I like about it are so good and the characters are so likable that every time I watched it, it kept getting knocked up a peg, in the MCU ranks.
Yeah, Guardians kind of blew my brain the first time that I watched it. Like I enjoyed it immensely the first time that I watched it, and I could not wait to see it again. I don't think the villain in that one, and I know we're getting off topic, but I don't think the villain in that one hurt the movie for me at all, because at that point I'd seen so many Marvel movies. I know that their villains are weak.
Theirs was so bad, it was glaring to me.
Yeah.
After I watched the movie, I couldn't tell you why he wanted to do anything.
Yeah, no, I still can't.
He was a big angry blue guy, and that is about the summary of that character. But I don't know. It was just one of those things. I totally lost my train of thought because I made a big blue guy fucking.
One thing that I've always been curious about when you're ranking something actually is there one thing at least that you just cannot forgive no matter how good anything else is?
We could do it we actually need to write that down, Howard, start that shit. We need to add it as a topic, our pet peeves of movies and TV as a discussion point,
because we talk about it a lot.
We should do that. I'm glad this is being recorded so we have video evidence before we forget it, which will happen like now.
We don't watch our own shit, so it won't matter.
True. Bobby, don't let us down.
Text me, Bobby.
Text me, Bobby. Save us, Bobby.
Hashtag Bob it up.
You know how much I love a good villain. Your movie has to be as good as Guardians is for me to forgive that weak of a villain. That is a big sticking point for me. Oh, I got one for you. Once your characters do so many stupid ass things to the point to where they are no longer functioning logical human beings, looking at you, Evil Dead remake. Fuck you, Evil Dead remake.
I was gonna say most horror movies these days.
But that's the like, for instance, the Evil Dead remake from like 2013, whatever year it was. I went into it knowing it's a horror movie. I forgive horror movies for that more often than not because something has to drive the plot. It was so bad about it. It blew past my forgiveness level for horror.
There's less horror movie and more scary movie.
Which is one of the reasons why I just saw Get Out. Get Out is perfectly done. No one makes a single stupid decision the entire fucking movie, and it's a horror thriller. I was so impressed with it. Like, so
that's
impressed.
The way I felt about Don't Breathe. I didn't really. I've only seen it the one time, but nothing stood out to me that said that's just fucking stupid. No one would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Green Room had some very well thought out reasonings
Yes.
and
Consequences.
and literal and metaphorical barriers as to why they couldn't get out.
Yeah.
What I'll throw it back to you. What is your sticking point where you can no longer forgive a movie or TV show?
I think this is going to be pretty ironic, probably, but I think one of the biggest ones, one of the first ones that jumps out at me when I think about what is something that I cannot forgive is bad dialogue. And the reason I know you're going to find that funny is because I'm the only one between you and me and Philip that is like, Power Rangers movie, why not? And the dialogue is so atrocious in every trailer.
With every word that is uttered on every new trailer, I lose an IQ point for every time someone fucking speaks in that movie.
Yeah, it's
I got
bad.
one for you. I got one for you that's a sticking point for me.
Okay.
And it's just like what I'm seeing so far in those godforsaken Power Rangers trailers. When you try to be meta and have no idea how to do it.
Yes.
Case in point, in the Power Rangers trailer, hey, are you Peter Parker? Are you Spider-Man or are you Iron Man? Like,
yeah.
Really? Really? Who fucking signed off on that shit as greenlighting that as a part of the final script for your $150 million goddamn movie?
Yeah,
I
don't
guess
get
what?
it.
Guess what? I'm not getting paid to write my shit. You have read my shit. Even I can write better dialogue than that.
No, yours is pretty strong. That trailer, those trailers are awful when it comes to that.
And as a thing too, as an aspiring writer, to know that someone got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, to write, hey, are you Iron Man or are you Spider-Man? It offends me. It is offensive. It is that brutal.
I'm offended.
I'm offended.
Oh God. Yeah, it's early. If I'm just face palming throughout the whole movie, I'm just completely distracted from everything else. I don't care how good your plot is, your effects are, your directing, your choreography, your cinematography. I can't do it.
To be fair, sometimes it's necessarily not like a specific writer's fault. Because if you'll notice when you watch a big movie, how many names do you usually see under the writing? Usually you have like 4 or 5 story credits and at least like 2 or 3 screenplay credits. So like it has been tossed around and butchered so many times. Like at one point, there could have been like a good line of dialogue there, but I forget which company, is running Power Rangers, but some studio head will be like, hey, those Avengers movies make a lot of money. Throw in some Avengers references,
Yeah.
It might not have been a writer's decision, but at the end of the day, they got paid. So I'm going to yell at them. So here's the thing. I'm more, I should say we've talked about before about how I will watch a movie just for an actor's performance, even if I don't really care. Have you ever watched a movie that like a singular performance or like an ensemble performance was so good that even though you didn't really care for the movie, you regarded it very highly just because you liked the performances that much?
What's funny is I'm thinking so hard. I probably have several on my shelf upstairs. Off the top of my head,
I'm looking at my Blu-ray shelf. I'm trying to think of one for me so I can help you out.
I know my cord on the mic's not that long. Oof. I'm gonna have to get back with you on that one.
One that's a little bit for me is I really appreciate it because of the world building, but I think Blade Runner is really carried by performance because they don't have a lot to do, and especially Rutger Hauer. Rutger Hauer makes that movie to me off of that one performance.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie, but without Rutger Hauer or Harrison Ford,
he
you don't
carries
have
that
a
whole
movie.
film to me.
Yeah. You know, if you want to take it that direction, even though I regard it as a flawless movie, if you don't have the casting choices that you have in the first Alien, you don't have a movie there.
There's not much dialogue period to go around. Like they don't have a lot of time to really develop those characters, and they do it very well. Like they all feel very lived in, and that's because of the performance, not because of the script. Like you feel those guys have been dicking around, being space mechanics for 20 years and hate their jobs.
Yeah. I would say Jessica Jones.
I would agree. Just oh my God, Jessica Jones is a perfect example. Everyone in Jessica Jones becomes an invalid at like episode 8 for no reason. They all do so much stupid shit. It is mind numbing.
And it's the perfect example of our pet peeve stuff also, because they even have a poker game. I know how much you love poker games and movies and TV shows.
How hard is it to Google Texas Hold'em rules? Am I asking you to do that much? Write that down. That's going to be for that future discussion, as I have more to talk about this. So here's the thing. We talked about kind of like our general thoughts on reviewing. What goes into your decision making when you're ranking for top 5? Like when you have a really, really close, like let's say like for your 2 and 3 spot, for an example, like, and you have to split hairs, what ends up being for the most part your deciding factor in ranking one above the other?
I don't know. That's not really a cut and dry answer, because it depends on what, the properties are, what it is I'm comparing. But if it's straight up apples and oranges, I usually just default back to, well, which one do I feel like I enjoyed more? Even if, like I said when it was Doctor Strange was my number 1, right? If I recall correctly. Things change upon other watchings, but I even straight up told you in that I enjoyed Doctor Strange so much. It was my number 1, even though below it on my list were better movies. I had more fun watching Doctor Strange. So it comes down to that. But if there's something that I'm having to split hairs with, I can't decide which one I enjoyed more. I usually, my process on both is usually, okay, I enjoyed this immensely. What about it did I enjoy? Was it funny? Was it the action? Whatever. What was it about that thing? And then I start getting into technical. Was it because of the way it was directed or whatever? And I just start breaking it down slowly like that.
So
usually I find
shows,
that one hair, like you mentioned.
With your TV shows, you went back and forth, like even up to the time of the recording on your 1 and 2. I don't know if you want me to say what your 1 and 2 were on TV shows. If you want me to spoil, I mean, you had, I believe it was Game of Thrones at 2, Agents of Shield at number 1, and you say they were really, really close. Is that one of those cases where you would say Game of Thrones is a better show, but you just love watching Agents of Shield so much, like your kind of like excitement level bumps it up a little bit more?
Yes, yeah. Because I would tell you right now that Game of Thrones, especially from a technical standpoint, is just a superior show.
It's mind-numbing how good every aspect of Game of Thrones is.
Yes. I mean, it's so good, we started another podcast. So,
yeah.
We don't have an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast.
We could. I kind of want to.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and for a while I had Game of Thrones number 1. I assume you can still hear me because I just pulled the fuck out of my cable on my mic.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
But, Game of Thrones, I had it number 1 for a while, but I just couldn't do it because the first thing I watch every week is S.H.I.E.L.D.
So like one of my talking points originally when I was, I don't have like talking points written down or anything, but one of my mental ones was quality versus favoritism. It looks like, kind of like going full circle to when we started off the podcast, or started off this
quality
discussion.
Versus favoritism, man. It's just a balancing act.
It looks like the final decision, like for you, how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. won out over Game of Thrones, that can't happen for me because quality wins out over favoritism for me. From a scientifically like looking at writing or just like the art form scientifically, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, getting down to bare tacks of like comparing, like with Game of Thrones, their cinematography, their performances, the set design, the directing, the writing, like it's just about flawless. That's gonna win out over favoritism every time for me because I can't disassociate myself from how much I appreciate the art form behind it. Or it's
Yeah.
like this year, I'm gonna spoil a little bit about my top 5 list later on this year. Get Out is gonna be higher than John Wick 2. That's
Mm-hmm.
because I appreciate like
This is my surprised face.
just because of I have seen John Wick 2 now 3 times in the theater.
That's
I saw
it?
well, what time is it? Oh, they're closed for tonight, but I'll get it for
Look at the time. It's just like the Mickey Mouse watch, but it's John Wick.
with the guns going around.
With the guns instead of the finger.
I want that now. Holy shit, we can make a lot of money off of that. This podcast is over. Goodbye. Get Out, I watched it one time and I was so impressed by how well crafted it was. With it not I mean, if it had been like a Ridley Scott movie, I would have been impressed by, but even more so that it was Peele's first written directed movie, that bumps it up too. But even if it hadn't been, like the characters, it's so well written. No one does any stupid shit. The characters are likable when they're supposed to be likable, and they're not likable when they're not. It was just flawless. It's a perfect movie for me. I have zero complaints to that film. So impressive to me. Lego Batman. I fucking adore Lego Batman. Get Out will be higher than Lego Batman, even though I love that movie and I love Batman so much. It's just one of those things.
One thing that is, I think, if you look at each of the rankings shows that we've done, without either one of us saying it, one thing I think that is blatantly obvious also is the differences in our motivations for watching what we watch. Because like I said, not being the creative type of mind, I basically just go into whatever it is I'm wanting to watch because it looks like a good time or it looks like a scary time or whatever. You lean more towards, maybe not more towards, but you will straight up watch something that you have zero interest in because you heard someone's performance was incredible or someone won an award for their performance in something or their directing in something, and it makes you curious enough to go seek it out.
Yeah, like for instance, I like last year I sought out Room because Brie Larson won the Oscar for it, and I ended up really, really liking the movie because the performances were so good, and even though typically that's not like my type of movie.
See, like, usually if I hear something like that, it's not my type of movie. I'm like, oh, good for that person. Like you and I have a completely different motivation.
You are a person who fucking loves movies, and I seem to more be like a cinephile, I think is a good way to put it. Like I am more.
You're the connoisseur.
Yeah, I will seek out, like I've watched certain TV shows, not only for just performances, but if they just have I will go and watch television shows if I hear so and so this is their first time being like a showrunner, or for instance, Ex Machina was written and directed by Alex Garland. Alex Garland is the writer of 28 Days Later and like Sunshine, and I fucking love some I will grasp on to writers or like performers or directors and then just follow their career as opposed to I want to watch that movie.
You follow people's careers, whereas I look at the individual projects.
Which isn't necessarily. I mean, everyone has their own preference.
In fact, that's one of the reasons that makes our end of the year shows so good, is because our lists are sometimes completely opposite.
Yeah, like one
your
of the
brain. I watched your brain explode when I said Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is my number one.
Because it was one of those things too. It's like it was my number 5 too. Like I had it really highly ranked too, but I was just blown away that that I wouldn't have the balls to rank Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ahead of Game of Thrones. Like I would just feel like the Westerosi pitchforks and torches would just come through the window trying to murder me.
In my defense, before we move on, though, we're talking like a 0.00001% reason that it won out. Like you said, I was flip-flopping on my list.
You were
even while recording.
Even while recording, you were flip-flopping.
Yeah.
We might end up doing a what's our time at right now?
59:48.
Okay, we will call it here. I think we might return one day once we have more concise talking points, because I think we could do a part 2 of this, especially when we run out of shit to talk about. We could come back and do more of this, because I thought we had some kind of on the spot interesting questions for each other. Basically, kind of like what was interesting is that this discussion on the heels of like the Oscars was supposed to really be about how we review and rank films and TV shows. It was almost more of like a review of trying to get a better understanding of how our co-hosts, how their mind works, because that's interesting too. It really is apples and oranges when you watch our top 5 stuff, because it's people coming at it from 2 totally different perspectives, which leads to cool conversation. Because that's the thing. I hate the concept that people have online when they complain that everyone has to feel the same way about everything. I have news for you, Internet. If everyone liked and disliked the same shit, the world would be very boring.
Yeah.
If we would have no creative conversation, we wouldn't be able to argue. We wouldn't be able to have fun yelling at each other about fucking Dark Knight versus Avengers if everyone felt the same way. Yeah. We could do another whole topic about how Geoff gets pissy about the internet being pissy. We could do an entire podcast dedicated to that topic, but I will drop it at that. Did you have anything else you wanted to add for this current rendition of reviewing and ranking?
No, not at this time. Like I said, I really want to revisit this because, like you said, it's even just how this conversation evolved from when we first started it was pretty interesting.
It was a lot of fun. I would totally agree. I don't know if it'll be fun for anyone else to watch, but it was fun to.
It was fun to have.
It was fun to kind of like pick your brain, what your thought process is, because
I didn't expect to ask me anything back and forth that we had.
Maybe we should. We'll come back next week, and our discussion will be ask me anything. Be like, Ron,
truth or dare.
That's terrifying for everyone. I don't know. I don't know.
We'll have to review the terms on YouTube before we could do the truth or dare.
Yeah, I don't think anyone. I think we'll even lose Bobby. No. If you would like to check us out more, please like and subscribe. That gets you all of our content. Be on the lookout this week. If you follow our Game of Thrones spinoff show, Westerospective, we actually just started that back up. What are you laughing at?
Nothing. Just you finally have the schedule correct because this one comes out first.
In my defense, it's been like 6 months since we did the shit. My bad for forgetting, Mr. Guy who decided to have children and fuck everything up.
Well, excuse me for bringing new life into the world.
Yeah. Fuck you. How could you dare bring more people into the
I had two because we would need an extra one when I fucking killed you. Yep.
Yeah, true.
One of these days I'm just gonna strangle you on air.
If you could like fucking Samara your way through the Skype recording and like ring me to death, we would get a lot more hits off of that. I will go out being useful, at least.
No one can mention the ring or rings without me thinking Peter Griffin. That is Seth MacFarlane has forever engraved that in my brain.
Yeah, I feel you. We also do Let's Plays we're hoping to get more of. Ron is in the middle of recording our challenge runs of Dark Souls right now. We're hoping to get Tomb Raider up and running pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that. And we have, did I mention the social media links yet? If I did, you probably don't care. If I did not, you probably don't care. We have Facebook and Twitter links. I don't even listen to them or follow them. So, yeah.
I was going to say, you listen?
I listen very. I'm the Twitter whisperer. If I just like listen real hard, I just hear.
Is it Caesar? Is that his name? You're the Caesar of social media.
Yeah, basically. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
This podcast needs to be put out of its misery. Goodbye.
It devolved so fast.
We had all that intellectual conversation just goes. fucking gone because we're delirious at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Bye, guys.